I had all the emotions. I remember like I've never cried that hard in my entire life. Everyone coming at you. It was like vultures. It was the grossest thing ever.
What did that chapter that with Modere teach you that Advocare did not?
It was like I was married to Advocare and I walked in on my husband having an affair that I never imagined happened. Right? Like that was the feeling you got, like this shock. And I remember I was out for a walk and I was just like praying. And I was like, God, I don't know what you have planned for me. I know I'm meant for greatness. But I don't know what that looks like and I need a sign. And all of a sudden my phone's ringing and I look down and it says Justin Prince. I don't know what it is. I have no idea, but I'm going to trust him.
Welcome to the AAA Mindset, the podcast where adversity isn't a setback, it's the setup. If life has challenged you and stepped on your confidence and forced you to pivot, you're in the right place. Here, we train the mind to face obstacles head on and turn them into fuel for growth, resilience, and success.
All right, welcome back. We just left off with Abby discussing her pivotal point from Advocare where they restructured their pay scale and her peak of her success in Advocare. And then now she gets this phone call that the business is failing. Let's get right into it. All right, so when Advocare restructured the pay, what was that moment like for you emotionally?
At that time, it was just, I had all the emotions. I remember like I've never cried that hard in my entire life. But then I also, in full transparency, got kind of frozen for a little bit. And it was because I started seeing such ickiness. I started seeing all these other companies like coming, just trying to get you. And I started seeing people from our company that were your friends, like blocking you on social media because you weren't going where they were going anymore. And like everyone coming at you. It was like vultures. It was the grossest thing ever. That's not who I am. And so rather than being in the mix, I just stepped back. And I was like, I'm going to chill here for a second until I can get my mindset, because too many people made just jumps without really thinking about where they wanted to be. And I did that to a little bit. I kind of went to a company for a little bit, didn't really do much with it. I call that like my break time. I had like 3 months of like, just like take a little bit of a break. And I definitely needed it.
But I think that's good because you allowed yourself to like really see what you wanted to do, what company was right for you.
Yep.
Rather than being like, oh shit, I lost money. Here's this company that hit me up on the internet.
Yes.
And I'm going to jump to their products. And now their products are the greatest products
on the planet.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. And I couldn't stand that. So yeah, I took a little bit of a break and, ultimately I ended up at a company called Modere. It was like anti-aging products. And, I think I talked about that in the last episode, but it was great. I built another great business there. I had a multi-million-dollar business there as well. I don't know what it was. When you're just not aligned somewhere.
Well, that was going to be my question, is that in this next chapter, when you started with Modere, what did that chapter that with Modere teach you that Advocare did not?
I would say it taught me that I actually loved the industry, but that in order to truly like want to run and be somewhere, you have to like actually really love where you're at. And I think that was a lot of it for me. I think it was almost still like a season. It's almost like I was like married. Here's how I describe it. It was like I was married to Advocare and I walked in on my husband having an affair that I never imagined happened. Right? Like that was the feeling you got, like this shock.
Uh-huh.
And then, that does not happen. Just so we're clear for Eric.
We haven't had that.
We have not had that happen. And then the Modere situation was almost like I was dating. But I was pissed that I was dating because I didn't want the divorce, and I was just kind of annoyed that I had a date, but I had to date, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the next journey was like I found the love of my life.
I love that. Okay.
So let me ask you this. So like when you started with Modere, was there a lot of fear? Like I go and build this business again, I spend all this time. And then what if these company or these people do the same thing to me?
Yeah, I think that was kind of a lot of the barrier that I had, the arm's length, almost like that, because I did think to myself, like, what if it happened again?
Because I'm sure you trusted these people with Advocare. I'm sure they seemed great. And then all of a sudden they pull that rug out from under your feet. And I'm sure there's still that feeling of like, well, I felt that way with Advocare. Why wouldn't these same people why wouldn't these people do the same thing to me?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I did. And I think a lot of Modere also was I had to have some healing because, I gave my heart and soul to Advocare, to my team. I mean, gave my heart and soul. And some of those teammates, when they decided to go other places, suddenly those leaders that they went to would tell them not to talk to me anymore. And like, I lost some really amazing relationships that I never imagined with people that I gave my heart and soul to. Yeah. And that was hurtful. So then it was like, do I actually want to give to people like that again? Just to have them turn around
Put
and
yourself out there
and hate on you. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, yeah, I did, because I love people and I love what I do. And that reaction should not affect who I am. That's a them problem.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's any business. I mean, same thing with my personal training business. Yeah. You get people close to you. you never think these people would screw you over, and they do.
And lo and behold,
That's
looky.
That's it.
Yeah. So how were you different as a leader with Modere the second time around?
I would just say I was a little bit more of a hands-off leader, right? Like I remember in Advocare being like, I loved getting together, and I loved events, and I loved like all of that. And Modere, I was like this reckless, like rebellious child who was like, I'm not going to that event,
Right.
or I don't want to have a get together. Honestly, it was like a rebellious moment for me. I still had great business. People were like, she was a great leader. But for me, I wasn't at the standard that I set for myself.
Right.
Exactly.
So did you feel like when you went to Modere, did you feel more confident about doing that because you had been with Advocare before and you had been in the industry before?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I knew I did like the products. I really did. There was just, I definitely had the confidence that I could do it. But what was interesting was at Advocare, my desires so much were to be like that top leader on stages. People knew me. You go to events and people are stopping you left and right to take pictures and all the things. Yeah. And at Modere, I didn't want that. Yeah. It was really strange. Like I didn't care to have that at all. And so
that almost became like the turn off to you.
Yes, it was almost like I needed a break from that.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately,
was the company expecting you to be that person though?
No, I don't think so. I don't feel like they did. I don't think I ever allowed myself to be that person for them to. I think probably going in, they maybe thought I was going to be, but I just wanted to like put my head down, get my work done, and that was it. I don't know. I was very different.
The passion wasn't the same.
The passion was not the same. No.
You talked a lot about, some people did not follow you into Modere. For the people that did follow you into Modere, did you feel like you had some sort of responsibility over your shoulder to be like, okay, this time, trust me, it's going to work?
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot. We had some people come and then they were just so frustrated that they just ended up quitting. But I did have a sense of feeling responsible as far as like wanting to make sure people got success. But ultimately, you are not responsible for anyone else's success. Right. They are ultimately responsible for their own success. You can be there as a leader, you can be there as a mentor, but this business, it's not your responsibility to get people success. Right. And so that was, I finally had to like get to that point.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't
make it drink.
And you cannot.
You cannot.
That's just anything you deal with humans. That's the same story.
Absolutely.
We see it all the time in our industry.
Oh, let me tell you.
Let me tell you.
So when did you start losing trust in Modere? Like when did you start being like, like again, having that, like, it probably scared you because you probably felt that way with Advocare. And then you're like, oh God, now I'm feeling this way with Modere. So tell us a little bit about like how you started kind of feeling that and how that went.
Yeah. So it was probably October 2024. And I kept telling like my leaders at that time, something's wrong. I know it. Something's wrong. And it was also great that I was identifying it and I was speaking it because it was almost like I was in control at that time, if that makes sense. And it was October, I don't even know, maybe the 13th. And one of my mentors, who is a huge mentor of mine still to this day, Justin Prince, he was the top leader at Modere. And I get a phone call that he's been terminated. And I thought to myself, again, because there's so many vultures in this industry, they immediately wanted to turn on him. They wanted to immediately say he was wrong, he was horrible. And in my heart, I was like, what in the world? Like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I knew he wasn't. Right. I knew what was happening was the company probably couldn't afford him anymore. Right. And there was so much more to it.
And so that was probably a huge turnoff to you because this guy that you really respect and look up to, now they're ripping on him.
Oh, and I'm seeing them throw his name through the mud.
Which
and
probably made you feel very uncomfortable.
A huge turnoff about the company.
Yeah, so ultimately at that point, I did not like promote the business at all. I would talk about the products because, again, I did believe in the products. But I would not bring anyone into the business because I said, if I don't want to do this business, why would I bring anyone else in?
I even remember that as your brother. Like, I remember even thinking that, like, she doesn't have the same intensity that she had before with this.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, because the leader that you looked up to, I mean, you felt like they kind of did him wrong, which that's kind of, I mean, you're a loyal person, right?
Yeah.
Somebody you care about does you wrong, you're not going to respect that. You're not going to want to work for a company that does that. And if they're going to do it to him, they'll do it to anybody.
Well, and I also didn't want to be at a company that I knew one day they're his best friend.
Right.
And then the next day they want to like literally, throw him in the fire. And I thought these are people that I'm not surrounding myself with at all. So at that time, I really kind of took another break. I had another breakup and I was just like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do because I do love this industry. I know I'm good at what I'm supposed to be doing at what I'm doing. I know I'm better than what I'm showing up as. but what do I do? Because there was nowhere else that I thought I'd want to go.
Yeah. So talk to us about those moments. How did you find yourself transitioning out of this? And how did you find yourself kind of, a lot of people talk about they work for a great company themselves, but the environment is toxic,
Mhm.
and you felt that, and the company was kind of getting toxic. So where was the culminating moment, I guess, the thing that decided, okay, enough is enough?
Yeah. So when Justin Prince was terminated in October, there was a 6-month period that he couldn't talk to anybody. And so, you could reach out. I remember I would reach out like once a month and be like, just want you to know I'm praying for you today. Like, just so you know, like, don't you worry, I'm still on your side. Because I had no idea if he was going to ever do anything else again. Or, I mean, he's so financially set, just go do investments and things like that. But just as a human, people were being so mean to him that I was like, I needed him to know that like people were on his side still. And so it was in March, about exactly 6 months. And I remember I was out for a walk and I was just like praying. And I was like, God, I don't know what you have planned for me. I know I'm meant for greatness, but I don't know what that looks like. And I need a sign. Like, I need you to show me if it's another company, show me that. If it's another industry, show me that. But I need to know what to do. So I go inside, I'm like making dinner. I'm telling Eric about like my prayer time. And all of a sudden my phone's ringing and I look down and it says Justin Prince. And he's calling me. And it was almost exactly to the day of 6 months that he could call. And I remember I was like, I just stared at the phone and Eric's like, what are you doing? I was like, Justin's calling me. And he's like, are you going to answer the phone? I was like, oh, I should do that. Okay. And, that conversation, he really didn't tell me like what his plans were. It was just more of a reconnection of how are you doing, so on and so forth. And more or less hold tight kind of a situation.
Yeah.
And I knew I walked out of the office and I was like, I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I don't know what anything is, but I'm going to trust him.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's get back to that in our next episode. Thank you for joining us today. When we come back, we are going to discuss what happens with Abby.